So, what happens when a leader looks up at an unidentified object in the sky and sees a demon? We're about to unpack a pretty wild thought experiment that blurs the line between national security and theology. It explores what happens when the great mystery in our skies gets caught in the crossfire of the beliefs we hold right here on the ground.
Yeah, our source material literally kicks off with this line. It's designed to stop you in your tracks, right? Because it's not really about what one person sees, it's about what it means for all of us when someone in power gets to name the unnameable.
Okay, before we go any further, I gotta make something super clear. This is all a fictional premise. We're not talking about a real event here. We're exploring a thought experiment from our source material, just to really pull apart the powerful ideas at play.
So let's get right into it. The whole thing starts with a startling claim, and what it really means when a mystery is finally given a name. This is the central question, isn't it? When we see something we truly don't understand, who gets to define it? Is it the scientist, with all their instruments, tracking speeds and trajectories? Or is it the theologian who's looking for deeper meanings and maybe even deception? Or, hey, what about the government, who has to decide if it's a threat to national security? Who gets the final word?
And right away, that question sets up this massive collision between two totally different ways of seeing the world. You've got science versus theology, a real clash of frameworks for understanding reality itself. And you can see that divide so clearly right here. On one side, you've got the scientific framework. It sees physical objects, radar tracks, weird metal alloys. It's all about data that needs to be studied. But on the other side, the theological framework sees spiritual beings. It's not about data, it's about discerning intentions. Is it good? Is it evil? So, on the science side of things, you have whistleblower David Grush. His whole argument is grounded in physical reality. He's talking about recovered craft, biologics, things you can touch and study. For him, this isn't some debate about faith, it's about tangible evidence. But then you get the complete opposite viewpoint. Robert P. George looks at the same phenomenon and says, nope, these aren't biological ETs. He argues that the details, the abductions, the strange messages, they don't fit science fiction. They fit the historical pattern of demons. So it's not a physical problem, it's a spiritual one.
And just to complicate things even more, historian Elaine Pagels brings up Gnosticism. It's this ancient set of ideas that basically suggests that, hey, what one power structure calls a demon, another group might see as a messenger from a higher god, which just goes to show you, even within a spiritual framework, the act of naming something is deeply political. Okay, so this might all sound like a pretty abstract philosophical debate, right? Well, it isn't. This is where it gets really serious, because this is where metaphysics, these big ideas, get translated directly into real-world policy.
In the source material, Catherine Stewart lays out this fascinating progression. Think about how the language of evil has evolved in American politics. Reagan had the evil empire, a real, tangible geopolitical enemy. Trump had the deep state, more abstract, bureaucratic. But calling UAPs demons? That takes it to a whole new level. The enemy becomes completely metaphysical. So just imagine for a second that this view becomes official U.S. policy. What happens? Well, the panelists paint a pretty chilling picture. Scientific inquiry could just stop. Why measure something when you can pray against it? You could see religious tests for security clearances. Whistleblowers could be silenced for aiding demons. I mean, you're essentially looking at the creation of a state theology. And what about the rest of the world? The international fallout could be immense. As this chart shows, a policy like this would probably split our alliances right down the middle. Secular partners like Germany and France would likely react with total disbelief. Some of our more religious allies might be on board. And our adversaries, China, Russia, they'd be handed the propaganda victory of a lifetime, painting the U.S. as a country lost to superstition. And all of this, it brings us to what might be the single most important point of this entire thought experiment, the profound danger of being too certain, and what happens when a society turns a mystery into a weapon. Because here's the thing, and this is the real takeaway. The word we choose isn't just a label, it's a command. It's a script for everything that we do next, and it slams the door on every other possibility. Think about it. If we call it a technology, what do? We study it, we gather data. Our goal is knowledge. If we call it a threat, we build defenses, we develop countermeasures. Our goal is security. But if we call it a demon, everything changes. Then we fight it. It's not about study or defense anymore. It's a moral, spiritual war. Our goal becomes victory over evil.
It's the same phenomenon in the sky, but it leads to 3 totally different futures on the ground.
And this leads to the source's incredible closing thought. The moment we declare with absolute certainty that we know what the unknown is, we're not investigating anymore. The mystery just becomes a mirror, reflecting our own beliefs, our own fears, and our own politics right back at us.
So we'll leave you with the same provocative question the source does. What happens to a society when it stops wondering about the great mysteries of the universe and instead starts using them as weapons in its own conflicts?